This episode of Derek and Matt Love Comics recorded September 17th, 2018. You can find Derek and Matt Love Comics on all the usual places like Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music, and TuneIn. You can contact the show, Derek and Matt Love Comics at gmail.com, Facebook.com/Derek and Matt, at Twitter at Derek and Matt, on Instagram at Derek and Matt, and on YouTube you can now listen to the show at Derek and Matt Love Comics channel. Enjoy the show. The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is that losers don't get ice cream. I am Matt, and I feel like destroying something beautiful. So lucky for me, I am joined by my good friend Derek. How's it going, Derek?
I thought the second rule was those who are tardy do not get fruit cup.
It's all about denying snacks, the whole thing.
I'm pretty good. How are you, Matt?
Holding in there. We had a weird couple of weeks, and I think we were both sick at different points, and you had a malady, and
Oh, God.
I had a business thing, and yeah, I
want to take exception to something. When you posted the notice that we were going to be missing last week's episode,
yes,
you wrote that, and Derek chipped a tooth, or cracked a tooth. I think that's what you said. And I'm reading it going, the damn tooth broke off clean across.
Well, I didn't.
Across from gum to gum.
I
just
didn't
right
get.
off.
I didn't see inside your mouth to know the technicalities.
I thought they told you.
You probably did. I was sick, remember?
That's true. Myself, right now, I'm feeling a little under the weather. A really busy weekend. A lot of stressful stuff going on, but yesterday I had some bright moments because I got to go to my brother's place for the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
My nephew's 5th birthday party. So you got a whole bunch of kids running around, grabbing and touching everything, and you're going to get a little icky feeling afterwards.
Well, that's basically what happened to me. Is I went to that trade show for work, and I got the trade show equivalent of con crud. You know, whenever you're around a bunch of people that are from different parts of the country that all come together for a couple days, there's bound to be germs that you're not used to. It's essentially the premise of War of the Worlds.
I thought it would have just been a reaction to all the bad BO.
There's that too. Luckily at a trade show, even though it's a lot of gamer guys and a lot of them are big, that's not quite as much of an issue as it is an actual gaming convention.
Well, I would imagine with the trade show, it's much more of a professional type of thing.
Yeah, you'd think that, but you wouldn't believe how many people were in sweatshorts and loose sweatshirts with their store logos on it and like hoodies the whole weekend, as opposed to like I was wearing a pair of jeans and a t-shirt with a button shirt over it, and like business casual, or not even business casual, but like casual and slightly professional looking the whole time, and then our store shirt on the game night events. But there was a guy walking around all weekend in cargo shorts and sandals. So
honestly, the whole thing with the sweatpants would not surprise me.
So you would think it'd be more professional, and then there were some people that were like straight up, shirt tie or like a professional polo from their store with the name on it and everything. I was about halfway in between that, but yeah, you come away with the con crud. So, but
I always heard it referred to as con flu.
I've heard it both ways. That might be original thing. I've always called it con crud. So yeah, it was the Central Michigan germs got me as opposed to the Earth germs. Because it was people from all over the Midwest. It was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is the home of our distributor. But so we're still in the state, and we had a couple other stores there that were from Indiana. But there's a lot of Michigan guys, a lot of Ohio guys, a lot of Illinois, Wisconsin guys. There were guys there clear from Georgia. So I really have to wonder if it's worth it for them to travel this far. Because although we're getting all the new stuff presented to us, it's not necessarily information you can't find online. So I don't know. I think the benefit is going in actually being able to talk to the creators and the game company people. Get FaceTime with them, which we did several times. So that's to me that's the benefit of going. But
yeah, I can understand that.
But enough of that. We will get on to what we've been doing this week, and we'll go ahead and start with you.
Oh gosh, I'm still on my epic journey of dealing with iTunes and getting.
It's funny to me that this is the thing.
Yeah, and I know 2018, and I'm just now getting started with it.
I've been telling you for years.
Oh, I'm aware. No, it's just funny to me that I've honestly lost track of how many albums I have on iTunes now. It's more than 450. I think it might be under 500, might be over. I'm not sure. But the one thing I've noticed is last couple of weeks, all I'm doing is just listening to Queen over and over and over and over again.
There is nothing wrong with that.
So much selection, and I still listen to the best. Other than that,
wait. Quickly on Queen. Did you see the video that I posted yesterday about you know how they do those videos where it's like, we let these little kids play the original Nintendo and see how they respond, or watch this old cartoon and see how they respond?
Oh, kids react.
It was kids reacting to listening to Queen's greatest hits.
I didn't think it was specifically Queen's greatest hits, but no, the kids react. Yeah, it's a whole channel on YouTube where it's kids react, teens react. I think even retired people react.
Yeah, maybe.
They do a whole bunch of different things. College kids.
Well,
stuff like that.
This was kids react to Queen's greatest hits.
Right.
And
I did not see you post it, but I watched that last year and I posted it on my own Facebook last. So I have seen it. In fact, I ended up seeing it again just 2 hours ago. Not even 2 hours ago. On the Freddie Mercury page.
That's where I saw it on yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going back through my feed from what I missed yesterday since I was out most of the day. So I ended up rewatching it just like, I don't know, hour and a half ago.
I was just going to say that it kind of gave me faith for humanity. Because the kids overall, like, were saying, wow, this band, all their stuff doesn't sound the same. All their songs are different, but they're all good. This guy's an incredible singer. These songs are all great. The one girl said Bohemian Rhapsody was the most rockin' song she'd ever heard up to that point in her life. And I was like, oh, poor little girl. You're never going to hear anything more rockin' than that.
That girl was adorable. She more than anyone else, she was marking out. What was funny is you had the one little girl who was like, oh god, I want to say 7, little blonde girl who was just disturbed by everything.
Yeah, there was one girl who was like, I don't like this. I don't like this. Oh, I don't know. Wants to ride her bicycle. What? And like, and the best was when you want to break free. You are free, and it's like, oh, you don't understand metaphors.
I couldn't believe it last year, and I still can't believe it that they played Fat Bottom Girls for them.
Well, that was the one girl's like, I'm a girl, so I'm offended by this, and it's like, you didn't actually listen to the lyrics.
It's supposed to be positive.
Yeah, no, it is. So, yeah, moving on from that, what else did you do?
I just want to quickly say, I have no idea if this is true or not, but I was checking out the Funko Facebook page earlier, and they posted a preview of the 4 figures for a pop line of Austin Powers. And someone in the comments said that they should be doing pops of Queen because Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, you'd think they would do that because of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Someone commented to that comment saying, have you been living under a rock? They already announced that they're doing a bunch of Queen pops coming up. But the thing is, I haven't seen anything about that at all. So I was actually going to try looking it up, but then we ended up starting to record, and frankly, I forgot until just now. But yeah, no, if they're making Queen pops, I'm buying them, unless they're exclusive to Target.
I was at Target today, and I saw one of the Prince pops. I saw. I wasn't sure they were actually out yet.
Well, They're not officially. I don't think they're supposed to be out till October. But I was at EB Games last week, and I saw two. The one I can't remember what tours they're for. The one with the blue outfit, and the one with the third eye sunglasses. They had those two. They did not have Purple Rain. In fact, whenever I was purchasing one of a different pop, so like, can't think. Oh yeah, MacGyver. I finally found MacGyver. I was purchasing that, and I asked them. I asked the guy about them, and I said, "Did you not get any of the Purple Rain prints?" And he said that they have no idea what they get until it shows up and they open the box, and all they got were the two that they had put out. But yeah, it's because if I'm gonna get prints, I'm gonna get prints wearing purple.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, and they didn't have that one. But yes, hey, I just looked at my app to see if they had anything about Queen, and they don't. But all of the Brady Bunch, which is interesting, because they're pretty.
Oh no, they have all 5 kids and Alice.
Right, but not the parents.
They don't. No Jan.
Oh, they don't have Jan. You're right.
It's always Marsha.
That's hilarious. But did you know they're making new? Now they're Walgreens exclusives, but did you know they're making new Universal Monster Pops?
I had not heard that.
They have an Invisible Man, Walgreens exclusive, Universal Monsters.
I'm never getting that.
And they have Frankenstein with the flower.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't have all of them, but I have most of the Universal Monsters.
I never got any of them, so.
Well, I have Frankenstein, I have the Bride, I have Dracula, I have the Phantom, the Wolfman, and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I try to remember what the ones I'm missing. One was the Metaluna Mutant.
Okay.
That's from, I'm trying to remember.
This Island Earth.
Right, This Island Earth. And there's another one, but I can't think of who it is. I want to say the Invisible Man, but I'm not sure they actually made an Invisible Man.
Well, they have an Invisible Man and an Invisible Man Chase with this new set. Tell your sister they also made new football ones, and they have Brian Bosworth.
She had this poster.
That's why I brought it up. And then they have those Flash ones that we just saw, and that's the most recent thing they got.
Oh, the Jay Garrick. I got
Jay Garrick and the Vibe and the Kid Flash. The new TV Flash.
That's pretty cool. Okay. We just went all over the place.
We just got off subject.
Yeah. Getting back on, I'm just gonna quickly say I once again I have been loafing on catching up on my unread books and my unwatched DVDs and Blu-rays, and I've actually been killing a lot of time just watching marathons on television and checking out on demand. So in the last 2 weeks I've watched a heck of a lot of episodes of shows like The Dead Files.
Mm-hmm.
I discovered this just realized what I said. I discovered on the Discovery on demand that there was a TV show that they did back in I think 2000 or 2012, 2013, 2014 called Close Encounters, which is all about reenactments of experiences with people seeing UFOs.
Okay.
Which was actually kind of interesting. Didn't really mind that show. I ended up watching every episode that they had. Apparently, they only ever made 2 seasons. I think 13, 14 episodes each. They're like 30 minutes, so they're very short. I also watched a bunch of episodes of another show I had never heard of before called The Unexplained Files, which is narrated by Bruce Greenwood. So that was
cool.
Yeah, I mean, he is a surprising choice for someone to narrate, but it makes sense when you listen to it because he's so damn laid back.
Oh yeah.
And I actually really enjoyed the episodes I watched because it was very much like a modern version of In Search Of,
mm-hmm.
where it was just dealing with like this bizarre topic for a certain segment of the episode. They had one about this. One story was about this Italian village that's right on the coast, on the coast, where they were having these bizarre fires just kept breaking out all throughout the village, and they couldn't explain them. Like light fixtures and junction boxes just blowing up in flames, and they thought, well, maybe it was power surges, so they cut out power to the village, and they were still happening.
Okay.
And then they started having furniture, like couches and chairs, just randomly burst into flames. And they found out that there was this apparently an overwhelmingly or a bizarre, unusually high amount of electromagnetism in the village.
Okay.
And they started to question, because the government had put a research team to investigate this entire phenomenon, find out what was going on, and they discovered that just a couple miles out in the sea, the U.S. Navy had been doing testing that, and whenever the investigators brought this up to the Italian government, the Italian government discontinued the investigation immediately.
Okay.
Which is shady.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But then someone did some more research and found out that in 1947 there were reports that there was an unusual amount of electromagnetism in that area of the village back then. So it's like, who knows? But no, it was kind of cool because, it's like, I've seen the commercials for the new In Search Of show, and it just does not look like the same type of show. It looks more like an investigative type thing. It doesn't look like it. I don't know. It's just, it doesn't really seem like they're going to be dealing with the same type of stuff, or maybe not in the same style that the original show did. Whereas this series, which I don't even think they're making new episodes for this show, The Unexplained Files anymore. But it's like all stuff that I kind of find interesting. There's that segment. There was one on in I think it was Cambodia, or it might not have been Cambodia. I can't remember which country, where there was it was raining blood or red rain for 60 days, and they found out that the rain contained little microbes cells that were completely unknown, and theorized they might be alien in origin, but they don't know. Yeah, it's all like weird stuff, like curses and things, cattle mutilations, and so that was kind of fun. The other thing I've been doing is apparently I had a drop in taste, and I've watched a lot of episodes of Total Divas the past several days.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with you there.
I don't even like this show. If anything, the show makes me kind of hate everyone. It's funny because 2 nights ago I'm watching episodes and I'm going, oh my god, I'm starting to hate Natalia. She's not come off very well. I did nothing to explain or excuse it, but I watched a bunch of Total Divas. I feel shame.
You should.
Well, anyways, so that's pretty much it for me. What about yourself?
I actually managed to squeeze a fair amount in the last couple weeks, so we'll hit to that right now. Comic-wise, read Amazing Spider-Man 5, which finished the first story arc from the Nick Spencer, Ryan Ottley team. Hey, I just found out Nick Spencer is taking over Archie, and that really intrigues me. Apparently...
sorry, I just had the mental image of Archie revealing that he was a Nazi all along. and then suddenly the checkered lines in his temples are swastikas.
Well, apparently Archie is going all Marvel, and they're going to legacy numbering.
Oh, cool.
So that Mark Waid is going to write his final issue of Archie, which is going to be $6.99, and then the new team takes over at $700.
How many issues has... okay, once it's done, how many issues will that be for Waid?
Like 30? Like, in that ballpark?
Okay, that's a pretty good run, because for some reason I thought it was going to be like maybe half that.
No. It's over 20 for sure. It might be over 30. I'm way woefully behind on reading it, but it is, I have every issue. Let's see. Archie Volume 2. Archie Volume 2. I have issues 1 to 32, and I believe I'm current on it, so.
Wow. Okay, how many issues would that be for Betty and Veronica under Adam Hughes?
Like 3.
I actually thought it was 2.
It might be 2. I took a guess. It's not many. There was more issues of Jughead. There was more issues of Reggie. There was more issues of Josie and the Pussycats than ever got made of the Adam Hughes, Betty and Veronica that I waited so long for.
So disappointing.
I mean, I love Adam Hughes as an artist, but man, his work ethic has something to be desired.
I think the issue is more that he's a perfectionist when it comes to his art, and he ends up just obsessing over stuff, and
Possibly.
he never finishes it.
I mean, this is like the second major series that I was really excited for that he didn't end up actually doing. The first being the All-Star Wonder Woman that never happened.
Yeah, that was a major disappointment.
I read Fantastic Four #2, which remember I told you last issue was all Johnny and Ben like lamenting that Reed and Sue were gone.
Mm-hmm.
This issue was all Reed and Sue and what they've been doing. And what they've been doing is them, the kids, and the rest of the Kids from the Future Foundation have been traveling the multiverse, exploring universes that Franklin Richards himself has been creating. It was so Stanley, Jack Kirby 60s awesome to watch them doing this stuff like this. And traveling from world to world. And it sort of sets up how they're going to come back to the mainstream Marvel Universe, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun watching like Franklin create universes and then them going, let's go explore this universe and see what's different about it, you know? And it was really cool. It was a great concept. Batman 54, man, Tom King just continues to kill it. I don't understand. There's a few, I've started hearing people saying that they're not liking Tom King's post-wedding stuff. I don't understand that at all. It's, if anything, it's better than the pre-wedding stuff. This issue was Nightwing hanging out. It was Dick Grayson hanging out with Bruce because he's worried about Bruce being depressed because of the wedding. And just like Dick trying to cheer up Bruce all the time, and then like they're fighting Crazy Quilt and Condiment Man and like terrible villains the whole time. And then it's interspersed with scenes when Dick first came to live at the mansion and how he didn't like living there. And so basically it's flashback scenes of young Bruce Wayne trying to cheer up and get young Dick Grayson to be happy and to laugh. And then modern stuff with Dick Grayson trying to get Bruce Wayne to be happy and laugh. And it was just all great.
It's kind of funny. Sorry to interrupt for a moment, but it's kind of funny that talking about the post-wedding stuff for Batman and Catwoman.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me that didn't we see an announcement this week that Fantastic Four, they're going to be doing a wedding for the Thing?
We actually received a wedding invitation in the mail at the store.
Because I saw a post about it online the other day.
Well, the proposal happened in issue 1.
Okay, but then in the promotional thing for it, Marvel wrote honest. You know, the wedding was going to happen honest. It's like, yeah, I'm not buying it. I mean, I don't believe that. I mean, do you really think they actually are going to do the wedding and the marriage for them?
I mean, it's two characters that they don't. What's the issue if they? Why wouldn't they have them get married?
I don't know. I'm just kind of
like, I'm sorry.
It seems like the big thing the last year has been weddings don't actually happen.
That's true, but I'm a huge Batman fan, and I never thought they were actually getting married. It didn't make sense to the story for me to have them get married, so I was not surprised when they didn't get married. But
yeah, if anyone's married to their job, it's Batman.
It wasn't his fault.
He's
not the reason they didn't get married.
I know. I'm just saying that for it not making any sense that they would get married to begin with.
The other thing I read was this little indie book that's like a 3-part thing coming out called The Wrong Earth. The cover intrigued me, so I grabbed it and I read it, and I'm definitely going to be getting the remaining issues. Essentially, it's a Batman-like pastiche character, and it's a split thing of the adventures of him on a Batman 66 style Earth and a Batman Dark Knight Returns style Earth. 2 versions of the character. And through like multiverse shenanigans, they end up switching Earths. And the villain, who is obviously a Joker pastiche, ends up switching Earths. So the Dark Knight Returns type Batman and Joker end up in the 66 world and vice versa. And the main reason I picked it up is because there's a quote on the cover by Mark Miller that says, if you love superheroes, you have to read this book. If you don't love superheroes, this book will make you love them. So I'm like, all right, I will on that quote, I will definitely give this a try. And it was very interesting. It was fun. It was a lot of like, like the one from the Dark Knight Earth was like freaking out because when he comes to the 66 Earth, the cops are like, oh, whatever you need, we'll help you out, and he's like, on my Earth, the cops are constantly hunting me and everything. It's the total dichotomy of that character, of that type of character in the two broad realities that he's existed in, and it's clearly a Batman pastiche. There's his sidekick in the 66 type world. The first thing the villain does the villain from the Dark Knight type world does when he comes over is kill the sidekick, or at least I guess severely injure the sidekick, and like everyone else around him is like, wait, you actually caused physical harm to the hero? Nobody does that. It's very interesting. The character is it's Dragonfly, except in the 66 world it's Dragonfly Man, and the sidekick is Little Stinger, and the Joker-like character is Number One, and he's basically in both realities. Picture, I guess the best way I'm going to describe it is Andy Warhol if he was the Joker. He's like a pop art maniac.
That is brilliant.
It's really good. And like in the 66 world, it's what you'd think of Andy Warhol like in the 60s and 70s, and he's got this girl with him in the almost like an Austin Powers villain the way it's set up, but then it's got all the he's number one and the girl is number two, and then all the henchmen are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which how they used to name the henchmen in Batman 66.
Oh, yeah. Right. But cross with the whole thing of the Warhol factory.
Right, exactly.
All the hanger-ons.
Whereas it's a little more like a Sid Vicious type character in the Dark Knight universe, but it's still definitely got the Warhol influence.
Okay.
So, it's fun. I enjoyed it.
I would be worried about the Dragonfly Man from 66 being in the Dark Knight Return style.
You should be, because it's not going well for him.
Oh, that's horrible.
I watched The Birds, and because I'm just trying to get through my horror movies like I always do. Man, that movie is so good. I watched that movie a ton as a kid, and I never really thought about it. It was just a movie that we used to watch when I was a kid. And then I bought it a couple years ago, and I've watched it a couple times since then, and I'm constantly reappreciating how good that movie is every time I watch it.
That film is easily my favorite Hitchcock movie. And I love a lot of Hitchcock films.
And then I watched all the making of stuff that was on the Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally immersed myself in The Birds. And then I went on Wikipedia and read a ton of stuff about Tippi Hedren and a ton of the stuff about the supposed bad relationship between her and Hitchcock.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I don't believe her, because that's absolutely not what I'm saying. But I will add on top of anything she said, she has kind of come off like a weirdo. If you read her whole entire backstory on its own, she does kind of come off like a weirdo. And there's plenty of other people. Who was it? Not Janet Leigh, but somebody who was in Vertigo. It was the actress from Vertigo saying I don't know who she's describing. She's not describing the Hitchcock I knew. Which obviously some people have different.
Novak.
Yeah, Novak. That's who it was.
I don't think Vera Miles ever had any problems with Hitchcock. Vera Miles was, she did a couple of films with Hitchcock. I can't think of the first one, but she plays Janet Leigh's sister in Psycho.
Right.
And she was actually under contract with Hitchcock himself for a period of time.
Well, and so was essentially Tippi Hedren, and that was part of the issue. But
right. But the thing with Miles was that Hitchcock was trying to groom her to be the next big superstar actress.
Right.
She decided that she was she liked acting but she was much more invested in her marriage and raising her kids, so
right.
She kind of scaled back the acting, which she said disappointed Hitchcock, but then he ended up trying to look for another protege.
Right. And I'm serious when I say I'm not saying I don't believe Tippi Hedren.
Oh, no.
What I'm saying is I feel like there's so much to the story that we don't know, because Novak says one thing, Hedren says one thing. Whether Hedren is a weirdo or not, I guess should be inconsequential. But reading her entire backstory, she really struck me as someone that I don't know that I would trust.
She spent 10 years living with lions and animals literally in her house.
Yes.
Filming, what was it? Not Roar.
Yeah, Roar. It's called Roar.
Yeah, and every single it was one of the most dangerous movies ever filmed because every single person involved in the production, all of the actors, all the crew members ended up being horribly injured.
Well,
during the
I don't know about every member, but the number I read was over 40 people were mauled in the making of that film, which took 11 years to make, including Tippi Hedren and including her daughter. Melanie Griffith. Yeah.
Right. But that is also the film where Jan de Bont was director of photography, and he left the production after one of the lions bit his head and scalped him.
Right.
So if we're talking reckless, Tippi Hedren's pretty reckless herself, or at least was.
Yeah. No, again, you don't know what to believe. There's probably information we don't have.
Right. I'm sure. And the thing is that I'm certain Hitchcock probably had good relationships with some actresses and poor relationships with others.
I am perfectly willing to accept that this was the one actress that Hitchcock was weird with, you know? Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he's a saint by any means, you know, but it just seems weird that everyone else is like, oh, I didn't have this problem with him, and she vehemently is saying that she had this problem with him. And there were other people that were like crew on what was the second movie she did with him?
Marnie.
Yeah, there was other people that were crew on Marnie that did kind of support some of her claims too. So it's not like she's completely.
Yeah. The thing with Marnie is I can understand that one being a much more of a weirder production, simply because it's a psychosexual drama.
Right.
The whole movie is basically about rape. It is weird. Just put it that way.
But yeah, so I watched The Birds and I fell down a Hitchcock Tippi Hedren Wikipedia hole, essentially.
I've been there.
That was a night. The other thing I wanted to kind of point out was that the two nights we were at the convention, like when we got back to the room, the one night flipping through the channels, we end up watching the last 40 minutes of Batman v Superman. And coincidentally, the next night we end up watching the last 40 minutes of the 66 Batman movie. The actual theatrical movie. And I just want to say, I enjoyed the heck out of both. And it's like, could they be more different, you know? But like, I'm a fan of Batman, and I like sat there giddily watching both movies. So I just wanted to throw that out there. The other big thing this week, of course, was Spider-Man for PS4. Really good game. At first glance, it's just Spider-Man in an Arkham game. But the more you play the game, the more you realize the differences that they made to make it a unique Spider-Man experience. The story is pretty good. The combat is great. The more you play it, the more you realize just how deep the combat is. And I think at this point I've decided the combat's way deeper than the Arkham combat. Same thing with the web slinging. Like I keep constantly learning how to be a better web slinger, which makes for the game being easier in different places, because sometimes you want to web sling for speed, and sometimes you want to web sling for altitude, and sometimes you want to web sling for control, you know, and there's different ways of doing it, and it's learning the different skills. Like, it's actually become a learned skill in the game, how to web sling.
That's pretty cool. I'm actually kind of surprised that you were able to do anything else, because I really got the impression that you were mainly just doing playing Spider-Man in any free time you had.
So I have not fallen into a video game like this in a very long time, where I just played it. I mean, and now these are games that reward you for lots of play. Now, I definitely did this with the original Arkham Asylum. I definitely played Arkham City a lot. I definitely played Arkham Knight a lot to a point, but I never finished it. And then most of the other big games in the last 10 years of my life, I've played the first 2 to 3 quarters, let's say 2 to 3/3 of, and just not had time to finish. Or games like the South Park: The Stick of Truth, I got and played super, super heavy for 3 days, and then stuff came up and I just never got back to it. You know, and I've sort of accepted that as, this is what it's like to be an adult. I'm still going to buy the game because I want to play it, but I'm not actually going to have the time to play the game from start to finish and appreciate the whole thing. And the most recent one like that is God of War, which I played really heavy for about a week and a half. I really, really like it. I wanted to stay playing it. I just didn't have the time to do it. This game got me and said, nope, you're going to make the time, because I can't stop thinking. When I'm not playing the game, I can't stop thinking about the game. And to me, that's like something, how I looked at video games when I was a kid or a teenager. Even by the time I was in my 20s, I wasn't thinking of video games that way, except for certain games. And this has been the first game in a very long time that made me do that, where I'm like, I'll have a eureka moment at work and go, I know how to get past that now, and go home and load it up and try something, and it works, you know?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because I'm not much of a gamer myself, and I used to play video games with my brother growing up, because we had Nintendo, had SNES, that my brother later had a PlayStation 2, and most games, yeah, I would enjoy playing them for a bit, but I never really got heavily into them, except for just a very few games that I would become obsessed with, and I would play almost non-stop until I was able to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
That's stuff like the original Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, Metroid 2 for Game Boy, which I actually had when I was in high school, and a couple of the PlayStation games, Devil May Cry 2, and I forget the name of it, but the Onimusha one that had Jean Reno.
Okay.
I can't remember what was it? Dragon Siege?
I'm not sure.
I think
it sounds right, but
Dragon Siege. It was something like that. All of those games I became insanely obsessed with and played those to completion. And they are the only games I've ever done that with. And I think it's like 5. Most video games, I'll enjoy them, but I won't play them that obsessively. And in fact, I haven't really played video games in a very, very long time, except for Lord of the Rings Online, which I played for a couple of months about 7 years ago, I think, maybe 8 years ago, and World of Warcraft, which I got heavily into for about 3 months in 2012. But then I wasn't able to, had problems with my computer back then, wasn't able to play them. But then I was able to install it on my laptop last year, and I played it for a few months until I started having problems with my laptop and I had to stop. But yeah. No, it's kind of cool. So this basically means you are intending to finish this game.
If we weren't recording right now, I'd be playing the game.
We're done.
Huh? Oh yeah. No, I'll be playing tonight. Probably after Raw, but yes. The other thing I wanted to talk about really quick with this is I work in a comic book shop. You guys know that. These games, everybody's playing them when they come out, and this has been the most like. You don't know this because you don't play modern games, but on the PlayStation 4, you have a friends list, and literally I turn it on, and when I go to Spider-Man 4, it says these friends of yours are playing the game right now, and it's like half my friends list. And like every news alert I'm getting from the social media part of the PS4 is this friend got this trophy, and this friend got this trophy, and this friend finished this part, so like everybody's playing it. Now I understand that one, I work in a comic book shop where people congregate that are into this stuff, and two, even if I didn't, you just can't 100% avoid spoilers. You can do what you can to avoid spoilers, but you're never going to 100%. And I'm not stupid enough to think that I'm going to go through life completely avoiding spoilers. But I had someone come in this week, ask me if I was playing the game. I told them yes. I told them I wasn't doing the story. They then proceeded to ask me if I was past the part with X character, which I think in itself is a spoiler, even though it's a character that we knew was in the game from the commercials. And when I said no, and the way I phrased it was, I don't even know who that is. I knew who it was, but I'm not super familiar with the character, and I'm not to a point in the game where the game explains to me who the character is. So that's just how I phrased it, thinking that will get him to not say anything further. He then explained who the character was to me, which was a major reveal in the game later. Don't spoil things for people. That's all I wanted to really say. Like I said, I'm not stupid enough to think that it's never going to happen to me, especially where I work. And I do a lot of things like seeing movies on the Thursday night releases just so I can avoid things like this. But
also reading new comics on
Yeah.
I'm looking at before stores opens.
Well, but you know what? To be totally honest, I do that so I can talk to the customers about the comics.
Oh, I get that too.
But yes, there is a level of avoiding spoilers. But I mean, come on. When someone says I don't know who that is, it doesn't mean explain it. It means let them get to that part of the game themselves. Let them get to that part in the movie, that part in the TV series, that part in the comic series themselves. Don't be that way.
Wasn't there actually even a second incident that happened where someone else came
There
in?
was a second incident later in the week where someone said, "Did you get to the part again? Did you get to the part with the X character?" And I was like, "No." And they then basically proceeded to explain everything that happens with that character. And this was a character that I didn't know was in the game. So, and the first guy is a guy, to be perfectly frank, the first guy is a guy I don't like. And I kind of doesn't surprise me that he did this. The second guy is a nice enough guy who I'm not friends with, but I'm cool with. And it was like, oh, it kind of disappoints me that you did that. Yeah, just don't do that to people. I mean, you know, I can say that as I'm playing the game, our mutual friends Malcolm and Dan are also playing the game, and the game came out on Friday. I was out of town all weekend for work. They were like, "This is cool in the game. This is cool in the game. This is cool in the game." All things that were like mechanic wise. They didn't touch the story. They were playing it, but they didn't mention a word about it. They were very respectful of the fact that I wasn't going to get to it until Sunday night. You know. And I mean, it's not a lot to ask from people.
I think it's a mix of people being just really excited about the game and wanting to share and talk.
There is that. I mean, and the second conversation came out of that. You know, we were all talking about, I did this and I did. You know, it was like we were all gauging each other as to like how far are you, so I can see what I can mention. And then he mentioned something beyond where I was, and just kept going with it.
Yeah, that's the other part is that. It's just people just not thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's always when you're that invested in something and you want to just experience it, and it's so immediate.
Right.
I completely understand that. It would be different if we were talking about a game that's been out for a couple of years.
No, but we were talking about a game that was out for the first time it happened 5 days at that point.
Yeah.
You know, and then I had another kid come in, and I was talking to one of my friends about how I got spoiled, and he tried inserting himself into the conversation, and he's like, "Well, what part was it?" And I said, No. This conversation is about how we're not going to talk about the game, that we don't appreciate people talking about the game if we haven't gotten that far, you know? Well, I've beaten the whole game, so what part are you talking about? I'm like, no, we're not talking about the part of the game where it happened. And it's like, I'm glad you've beaten the whole game. Good for you. I'm not going to even hold it against you that like, hey, I have a job and I work and I don't have time to just play it front to back, and you're a kid and you can play it front to back. You know what? When I was a kid, I did the same thing. Good on you. But don't spoil it for people. We don't all have that luxury, you know? Anyway, what did we do together?
Well, we actually did a couple. Well, I guess it's really just two things.
What? Two things is a couple.
Yes, thank you. I realized at the moment I said it. Let's do the first thing first, and that is we watched The Shining immediately after we finished recording the last episode, and I can't believe it. That was 2 weeks ago today.
I honestly thought when you put The Shining on the run sheet that you had messed up, because I thought we had talked about it on the previous show, but then I looked at when we watched it and I was like, no, he's right.
Yeah, we finished recording and we put The Shining on. I think it was like 15 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, sounds right.
But it was very immediate. Man, I have seen this movie so many times and it still entertains me.
It's really good.
The funny thing is, I first saw this movie when I was a teenager, and I don't want to say it terrorized me, but it disturbed me a lot. When I used to watch it when I was younger, it was one of those movies that I loved, such as basically The Shining and Exorcist, where I loved those two movies. But there were ones that I had to kind of almost talk myself into watching them because I found them so psychologically frightening that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that was with The Shining. That was basically the case throughout my teens and into my, way through my 20s and that. But the funny thing is, I haven't really watched the movie in the last more than 3 years without watching with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not getting that feeling anymore. Just because, and it ends up being you and I watching the movie and us riffing on it.
Right.
Even though we love this movie, just making jokes and little sides and stuff. And it's gotten to the point now where the movie still entertains me, but instead of making me feel unsettled, it entertains me by making me laugh. Just because of all the imprint of all the jokes that we've been making over the last 3 years.
Right.
Because we have watched this movie a lot. This is probably one of the films that you and I have watched over Skype the most.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. I hadn't thought about it, but you're probably right about that.
No, I'm thinking at least 5 times.
Yeah, probably. That sounds right.
Yeah, because we just watched it 2 weeks ago. We watched it when I got my 3-film Kubrick Blu-ray collection. I can't remember if that was a year ago or 2 years ago. We have watched it each Halloween for the last 3 years. That would be 2017, 2016, 2015. I think we watched it a couple of other times. Other than that, we may have actually watched it as much as 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, that totally sounds accurate. And you know what? I never get tired of it. So.
No, it is one of my favorite movies. It's not my top 25, but I think it's in my top 50. But yeah, we're talking out of thousands of movies.
Mm-hmm.
It is just such a good movie. Easily my favorite Kubrick film.
Yeah, I still like Dr. Strangelove better, but I really, really like The Shining. It doesn't get old, and then something I didn't mention. I've been binging Simpsons lately.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily because I wanted to watch Bart versus Australia, and I ended up buying the whole season on iTunes. But of course, that season has my favorite Treehouse of Horror, which is the Shining episode. And the weird thing about the Shining is I saw that episode a bunch of times before I ever actually saw the real movie. And somehow it didn't ruin the movie for me. And like a lot of times after I'm done watching the movie, I'll go and watch that episode. So
it's kind of funny for me because I did see The Shining before I ever saw that episode. Because that episode came out, was it 94?
That sounds right, yes.
I think I was 13 the first time I saw The Shining. It might have been 14, might have been 12, but it was around then.
I think I was just out of college the first time I saw The Shining.
Such a good movie. Yeah. I kind of want to watch it again. And then watch Ready Player One.
I put Ready Player One on at work the other day because we watched Shining. Just to see that scene again.
He goes into the room. Just go, don't go in there. Okay, yeah, that basically leaves us with the last thing that we've done, and that is, I can't even bring up the willpower to mention it by name.
It wasn't bad. It was just the ending that was bad.
Oh, God. Yeah, but the ending was so bad. Yeah, we watched WWE's pay-per-view of Hell in a Cell last night.
I actually liked everything until the main event. And I don't even just mean the ending of the main event. I thought the entire main event was garbage.
Oh, no. The entire main event was garbage from start to finish. Nothing in it made sense. It did not warrant being a cage match. They did nothing in the match that really necessitated having the cage. And then they wrestle, let's say they brawl for 5 minutes maybe? And then you end up with all the flunkies coming out, climbing to the top of the cage. So you end up with Dolph, Drew, Dean, the 3Ds, and Seth all up on the roof fighting as a distraction while the other two guys basically just, catch some Z's, I guess. And then Seth and Dolph decide to climb down the side, stop halfway, and inexplicably both end up flying off the cage onto different announce tables. And then you end up with Brock Lesnar just coming out, Paul Heyman spraying mace in referee Mick Foley's face, Brock kicks open the doors. That was so laughable. It's supposed to look powerful. I thought it looked like a joke. And then F5's the two guys, and they leave, and that's it. No finish. The whole thing was basically a time waster.
Yeah. But the rest of the show, the Becky Charlotte match was good. The tag match with Dolph and Drew versus Seth and Dean was really good. I think AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe was the match of the night.
Oh yeah, probably.
So yeah, the rest of it was really enjoyable. It was just the garbage that was the main event.
I'm actually disappointed because I thought we were done with Lesnar, at least for the next 6 months.
I kind of thought we were. I was very surprised he came back, but yeah, ever since the post WrestleMania going into Greatest Royal Rumble and how nothing panned out the way we thought it was going to, like, I just don't know how to. I don't know what to expect from any of it. So nothing surprises me at this point.
Yeah, I mean, was it just a one-off thing and he's gonna be gone again, or is he gonna end up with a belt at the next pay-per-view? I have no idea. And quite frankly, at this point I don't really care. Actually,
I think that covers that.
Yeah. I did just now. We didn't add it to a run sheet because I completely forgot about. We did watch something else, and that was episode 2 of the Mae Young Classic.
Oh yeah. That was.
It wasn't a great episode.
Yeah, I didn't really care for any of the matches, so.
The only match I actually ended up liking was the one with. I just suddenly forgot their names. Oh my gosh, I just blanked. The third match.
They all run. I couldn't tell you who was in the third match. It all runs together for me.
Yeah. Jeez Louise. Yeah, just give me a moment. I'm just quickly. Yeah, because I tweeted about it because I actually enjoyed the match. It was the only one I genuinely enjoyed. Casey. I don't know how to pronounce it. Catanzaro and Rena Gonzalez. I'm not saying it was the greatest match of all time, but I enjoyed that match. I thought it was a pretty good match with kind of a David and Goliath thing, with both looking pretty good. She looked like Gonzalez looked like she could be a really legitimate monster threat in the WWE women's division, and Casey looked like she could potentially end up being kind of a female Rey Mysterio maybe in the future when she gets a little more seasoning. I mean, it's funny when you think about it. I think she's only been in the Performance Center for like half a year, if that, and she's never wrestled before. So I was actually surprisingly impressed.
Yeah, didn't really do anything for me.
It
probably, you're right, it probably was the best match of the night. It still didn't really do anything for me. So. Yeah,
well, I guess that finishes this episode's what we've been doing then.
Yeah, looks like. So we will move on to the news. We're back for the news, and I just dropped my phone. So,
I was wondering what that was. I thought you closed the door.
No, it fell off my lap. So the first news story is that Burt Reynolds passed away. Now, we have to remind you, we have 2 weeks worth of news here. Not that we have a lot of news, but some of the stuff is going to be slightly older.
Right. We're basically just going to be bringing up the stuff that we wanted to discuss. And didn't get a chance to last week.
Right. This bums me out.
The thing is, it wasn't a surprise.
Reynolds, no, he was an older guy.
Well, it's not just that, but his health has been steadily failing for the last 10 years.
Right. Yeah, I get it. But
I mean, the way he looked this past year was nowhere near how he looked whenever he did, say, the Dukes of Hazzard film. Was that less than 10 years ago? Was that? Was it 2006?
Yes, it would have been around 2006, because it was like around it was slightly after Batman Begins. So.
Yeah, and he still looked pretty good then, but yeah, yeah, he didn't look like he had very long to go. But it's still sad. He was the bandit.
Yeah, yeah, he was the bandit, and I'm sure there's countless things we can name that.
Oh, I'm
You
gonna
know.
I'm gonna name my three favorite. I'm just doing it. My three favorite Burt Reynolds movies right now. I'm saying Boogie Nights is number one. Number two is Deliverance, and number three is I can't believe it's a stupid movie, but it's entertaining as heck. Cannonball Run.
I don't know that. I think I've seen Deliverance, but I don't think I've seen Deliverance within my adult memory where I like can put it all together. So,
I have all three of those movies on DVD, and but Boogie Nights I actually upgraded to Blu-ray. But yeah, no, Deliverance. Oh gosh, that is another one that I saw when I was 13, 14, and yeah, Cannonball Run. The Cannonball Run films were ones that I'd see periodically when I was a kid.
mm-hmm.
I remember seeing the first two Smoking the Bandits when I was a child, but really I haven't seen them since, and I don't really remember anything.
See, that's how I am with Deliverance. I've seen Smoking the Bandit a lot. The first one the most, but I have seen the second and the third one enough.
I've seen other Reynolds films, but the three I named are the three that I like the most.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I've seen Longest Yard and anything on Archer that. Because there's so many Burt Reynolds references on Archer, and then Burt Reynolds ends up being on Archer. So.
Yeah. My mom used to watch Evening Shade, so I used to catch that quite a bit.
Mm.
And I remember watching The Man Who Loved. I think that's the title. The Man Who Loved Women.
Mm-hmm.
With my dad, which was kind of I guess you can kind of call it a Burt Reynolds sex farce, kind of.
Yeah, all I know is I spent the morning after he passed away. I spent with them talking about it on the news constantly, and just listening to my mother the whole morning, going, "I never cared for him."
Yeah, the thing with Reynolds is, yeah, I can kind of see that. I mean, I was never the biggest Burt Reynolds fan, but he was fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He had this charm, but it was kind of a sleazy charm.
Yes.
And it was a knowing sleazy charm. Like he was playing it up. And I don't know, for some reason it worked for him, and it made his movies fun. Gator. I mean, yeah. It was so sad because I was out with my dad the day it was announced that Reynolds passed away. Coincidentally, my dad and I were, I was out for my weekly excursion, and we were at the dollar store. My dad came up to me going, saying he found a DVD and for like I can't remember, like $1.25, and it had Gator and oh gosh, I can't remember what the other film on it was. It wasn't one of the Smoking the Bandits. It was another. I can't think of what it was.
Sharky's Revenge?
No.
Gator itself is I was going to say the sequel to Gator, but Gator itself is a sequel, isn't it?
I can't remember. I think it is.
Is the sequel to White Lightning. I knew that because of Archer.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh gosh, Burt Reynolds, end of an era.
Our next story is what the heck is going on with Henry Cavill and Superman. Kind of give us the high points, and then I'll kind of chime in.
Okay. All right. Here it goes. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember who originated the news article. I think it originated from the Hollywood Reporter saying that that Henry Cavill talks between his management and Warner Brothers fell through, and that Cavill was out as Superman, and that he was no longer going to do the role. This was because they were apparently supposed to be negotiating for him to film a cameo for the Shazam film, and also to set up for Man of Steel 2. And according to the Hollywood Reporter, that they're no longer going to do that, and Warner's just going to focus on a Supergirl movie in the next 2, maybe 3 years. And so this all breaks. All the movie and comic book industry websites are reporting this. Everyone's losing their minds, saying Henry Cavill as Superman was the only thing that was good in those movies. And, people go, Henry Cavill was my Superman. Everyone was basically freaking out over this. And then his agent releases a statement. I'm trying to remember her name. I think it's Danny Garcia. Releases a statement saying that Henry still has the cape in his closet. Warner Brothers is going to be releasing a statement soon. Don't worry about it, kind of thing. And then Warner's ends up releasing a statement that does not confirm nor deny anything. It just says that they're thankful for Cavill playing Superman, and that he's been great to work with, and blah 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 blah. But it's completely non-committal. And then the next day, Cavill on his Instagram posts a video with the blue Danube playing, in which he slowly lifts a Henry Cavill Superman action figure up onto camera and then lowers it back down. And everyone's going, what the heck does that mean? And then, so everyone's freaking out saying Henry Cavill's out. The only one that's still going to be remaining is going to be Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Cavill's done. And we get all these vague comments from the actual people involved, his agent, himself, and Warner's, and so no one really knows what's going on. And then just before we started recording, I saw a headline from I'm trying to remember what website it was. I think it was TMZ, saying that I didn't get to read the article. I didn't have time to read the article. But the headline was saying, yeah, Henry Cavill might not be done with Superman. So, who knows?
All right, so my read on this, the first thing I did was read the Hollywood Reporter article, because they were the originators.
Right.
And nowhere in the Hollywood Reporter article does it say Cavill quit, Cavill was fired, there was a parting of the ways. What it basically says is that they tried to do a cameo in Shazam, and Cavill's schedule did not allow for it. One, that surprises me, because I thought that cameo got done. I thought his his agent had tweeted or messaged something to the effect that that had been filmed.
Yeah. This was back in the spring, I believe March, and it was Danny Garcia,
right,
who is his agent,
who was also The Rock's agent.
And is also one of the producers on Shazam, posted a picture of her, a black and white picture of her with Cavill in costume on a blue screen set. This was right, a few weeks after the actual filming had begun for Shazam. And I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was kind of like, you're going to be surprised kind of type of thing.
Yeah, right.
The implication being that they had already filmed stuff with Cavill for the movie, because the rumors that have been going around, they haven't been getting a lot of press, but the rumors that have been going around are anything from Cavill is going to have a cameo as Superman in Shazam because he's the hero that the kids really look up to. That is one aspect of the rumor. The other aspect is that he actually has a supporting role. It kind of ends up becoming a bit of a mentor. He's not going to be in a lot, maybe not even a quarter of the movie, but he's going to have a significant part. And my thinking was, well, that was already all, whatever they were going to do was already shot.
Right. Okay.
The other thing that I kept seeing in the reports was that some of the websites that were reporting that he was out were saying that, the reason why he's, the talks broke down is because he's demanding a movie star paycheck because of the success of the Mission Impossible film, and that his schedule with the Witcher movie that he just signed on would not allow him to make the film. But the thing is, a Man of Steel movie wasn't going to be made for another 4 years.
Okay, so that's what I want to further with. Then Warner says they're going to work on a Supergirl movie. There's no immediate plans for a Justice League sequel. There's no immediate plans for a Man of Steel sequel. It really strikes me not as Cavill quit, Cavill was fired. It strikes me as we're not going to use the character of Superman anytime soon. So he's got no gig doing Superman if we're not making a movie with Superman. We tried getting him for Shazam. His schedule didn't allow it. So a combination of his schedule and their plans for the character mean that we won't see Cavill or anyone else play Superman for a period of time. Now, then all of a sudden people start reporting Michael B. Jordan's up for the role of Superman, and this other person's up for the role of Superman, and it's like, no, they're not looking to replace him. They're not using the character of Superman. That's why he's not playing Superman. There seems to be no indication that there's any dissatisfaction between Cavill and Warner's with Cavill playing Superman. They simply are not going to be using him because they're not doing another Justice League movie, and they're not doing another Man of Steel movie at this time, and they tried getting him in Shazam and apparently weren't able to do so because of his schedule.
The thing is, this is all stuff that's, every single aspect of this is speculation.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Warner Brothers still will not confirm anything or deny anything. Cavill's not confirming or denying anything, and Garcia's not confirming or denying.
But the rumors that Michael B. Jordan's going to be is being looked at to play Superman have to be completely fabricated because everything else indicates they're just not going to use Superman in a movie. So why would they be recasting him?
Okay. The funny thing is, the stuff that have been reporting the Supergirl, that they're going to be instead focusing on the Supergirl movie, I believe this quote originates with the Hollywood Reporter. I might be wrong, but where the report says that because they're going to be doing a Supergirl movie, as per DC lore, that means Superman would only be a baby and would not have to be. They wouldn't need Cavill for that movie, anyways. Right,
and there was some speculation that that's why they were looking for someone new to play Superman, if they really are, because they're just looking for someone to play Kal-El as a baby. But
that doesn't make any sense because Supergirl, yeah, she's older. Kal-El is a baby whenever she's a teenager on Krypton, but then when Krypton explodes and she is rocketed to Earth, Kal-El's rocket is faster or makes it to Earth quicker, and by the time she ends up on Earth and becomes Supergirl, it's because he's already there as a man, as Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So they could still use Cavill for that movie. The whole thing is, I don't know, it could just be, negotiation stuff. I mean, for all we know, all of this is just negotiation stuff, and the talks haven't actually ended, and he could still end up being, maybe he is already filmed the stuff for Shazam.
Right.
Maybe it's about just making a new contract for him to co-star in Supergirl, which I would like to see happen.
I don't even believe that Affleck's no longer Batman until we get a movie where someone else is Batman at this point, because they've said he's not going to be Batman like 3 times, and then he keeps being Batman. So I don't buy any of this. I just don't buy it. They've cried wolf too many times on these.
No,
they got to prove it.
The issue with all of this is so many people want. I don't even know why. It's like people just want the DC Warner Brothers films to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to look for anything to kind of like break it down or tear them down. And it's everyone's so obsessed with looking for problems that are going on in DC films, and so things are being blown up and exaggerated. I will not believe that Henry Cavill is not Superman until he himself and Warner Brothers says he's not Superman anymore.
Right.
But yeah, I just wanted to quickly say I'm hoping he's going to be in Shazam, and I'm hoping that if they do make the Supergirl movie, which we don't even know if they're actually even going to make that movie.
Right.
It's speculation at this point.
Exactly.
But if they do, I want that iconic moment that we haven't even gotten it really on the CW Supergirl show. We just get the brief glimpse that was in the opening sequence for the first couple of seasons. I want that moment where that rocket lands and Superman lifts open the lid and there's his cousin. And then have it being, the story being Superman mentoring Supergirl.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that story. Have him as basically the Mr. Miyagi Supergirl, keep her as the main focus of the story. But I want that relationship firmly established, and we've never had that really in any media.
Right. Oh, I mean, we got it in the Superman the Animated Series, but
Kinda, but most of her mentoring was basically done by Ma and Pa.
yeah, but we got the moment of him meeting her as the rocket lands. So
Okay, I'll grant you that.
all right, moving on. Timothy Dalton has been cast as Dr. Niles Calder, the Chief, in the Doom Patrol TV series that is being made for the DC Universe TV I guess streaming service.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is out now. I don't know if anyone's checked that out. I have a friend through work that has checked it out, and he says he's liking it so far. I just don't want to invest in another streaming service right now. So, and especially with Titans being the big lead on that, and Titans not looking good to me. I know a lot of people are really, really excited for Young Justice. I've talked before about how I feel about Young Justice. I want to see it eventually, but that's not the thing that's going to make me put down money. So, but yeah, Timothy Dalton.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Doom Patrol, all the casting they're doing is kind of making it sound like that might be the show.
I agree with you.
Because I love Timothy Dalton. I've said before, he's my favorite Bond. I'm him as the Chief. Yeah, that's cool. I want to see that. I hope he's got the beard.
Yeah. The whole
about being a slasher of prices. Sorry.
The whole cast for this show is working out to be great, I think. So, I am looking forward to that, and that might be the thing that gets me to. And it's crazy to me that Young Justice and Teen Titans or Titans wouldn't be the thing to get me, because I love those things. Wouldn't be the thing to get me to put money down. But Doom Patrol, which is all right to me, I like it, but it's not like one of my favorite things. It would end up being the thing that I'd put money down for.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not sure if I've mentioned it on the show, but I did mention it last night when we were watching the pay-per-view with our friends that Doom Patrol, the 1960s series, is one of my favorite comic book runs of all time. I just think it was a wonderful comic book series, and I'm actually kind of excited about this TV show.
Mm-hmm. Elizabeth Tulik, is that how it's pronounced? Is going to play Lois Lane on the CW superhero crossover this year. I am not familiar with her at all, so...
I'm not either. Yeah,
no.
She looks okay for the role. Physically, she kind of looks like a Margot Kidder type, so... Yeah,
okay.
No problem.
Speaking of Margot Kidder, Superman the movie 40th anniversary will be re-released in theaters.
I should look out when that was going to be.
Yeah, I'll go see it because I've never seen it in the theater.
I would love to see it in the theater. Apparently, okay, I'm looking at it. It says Fandango announces the Superman 40th anniversary event will be shown in theaters on Sunday, November 25th, with ticket info to be announced at a later date. I wonder if this is just in the U.S. and if it's just one day.
Well, usually when Fandango does these classic movie type things, it's usually a Sunday and then the following Wednesday they repeat it. And it's not like it's getting a run,
Right.
But yeah, I'll totally go. And if I get to see Batman and Superman in the theater in the same year, that'll be really cool.
This is my second favorite movie. I would love to see it in the theater at least once in my life.
I've seen your favorite movie in the theater at least once, so...
I haven't.
And finally, the Academy has pulled back from this whole popular Oscar category, quote unquote, for now. They got a lot of blowback over that announcement, which we barely got to talk about. I think if we did talk about it at all on the last show.
I don't think we even mentioned it.
We might not have. It's a dumb idea. I'm glad it didn't go through.
It's basically, yeah, the whole thing, and I believe the studios and producers recognize that as this. It basically seemed like the Academy making this category fine just to shut people up and let them have their popular movies have a category, but it was like basically it really came off to me like the second class award.
Right, and somebody pointed out that because the most likely movie to win this year would be Black Panther, it would look really, really bad for Black Panther to get the second class award. Yeah.
And the producers for Black Panther said that they were refusing to submit the movie for that category, and that they were pushing it for the Best Picture.
I personally would take Infinity War over Black Panther, but I completely understand the argument.
Yeah, I would probably go with Infinity War over Black Panther. The thing is, it's kind of funny saying that, though, because I think structurally Black Panther is a better movie.
I don't know if I agree with that. I do like Black Panther a lot, but I don't know, Infinity War is such a unique thing, being the culmination of this 10-year thing, which includes Black Panther. So.
Right, but I think on its own, it might not stand up as well on its own.
Well, that was my assertion the first time I saw it, where I said I don't know if it was a good movie. It was a good experience, and then the second time I was like, no, this is actually a good movie.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously your mileage may vary, but me personally, I think it's a better movie.
I think it's a more entertaining movie, but I think that Black Panther is a slightly better movie. But I still love both these. I mean, these are movies that are like in my top 100.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Flick chart. So it's like it's not like one of these is like a bad movie or something that I'm saying. But yeah, popular Oscar. Jeez.
All right. So moving on from that, we won't do the Greg's ad because I still want to redo the whole thing. But let me tell you about this. Walking Dead Day coming up in October. I believe it's October 23rd, and they are re-releasing Walking Dead #1 with special art, and each various stores were allowed to get their own versions of this. So we have, and go to the Galactic Greg's Facebook page if you want to see it, we have a version of Walking Dead #1 coming out that has Rick standing in front of a destroyed storefront, and the storefront is Galactic Greg's. It has the Galactic Greg's window, or logo in the window, and it's it's just basically supposed to look like a generic comic shop, but right underneath Greg's name is Captain America's shield in the store window, which I think is just the sign from above of approval on this. I'm very happy with that. And we will have that book, so if you are a Galactic Greg's fan and you want a copy of Walking Dead with our logo in the store window, contact the store so we can put one aside for you. That said, we will move on to the main topic of the week with a much discussed... I haven't looked at the numbers, so I don't know how our draft show did. But the much discussed Derek and Matt's Clash of Characters 1.
I actually did look at the downloads for the episode. I can't remember offhand. 23 downloads for Clash of the Characters 1 draft. So that's not bad.
That's not bad at all. So what are we doing, Derek?
I have no idea. I don't even know if we can pull this off.
All right, well, I'm going to explain this. If you listen to the draft, we picked a series of characters from different categories. We each picked a superhero, a supervillain, a super spy, a supporting cast member, a kaiju, a mystery man, an occultist, a sci-fi character, and an action movie character. And what we're going to do is I've got my D&D dice here. And Derek is supposed to have his in front of him as well.
Yeah, I'd like to point out, in case people are wondering...
Oh, there's a supernatural monster on there, too. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I have never played Dungeons & Dragons or any kind of role-playing game, but I bought a set of the die back in 2011, I think, simply because they were translucent green. It reminded me of Kryptonite.
I haven't played anything in a while. However, none of these dice sets I've ever used in actual gaming, because they're dice sets I bought in the last few years, because every gamer knows you're constantly buying dice sets, even if you're not actually playing. So I've got my my red and gold Gemini set, which I bought because it reminds me of the champion, who is my original character. My yellow and blue set, which I bought because it reminds me of Captain Lightning, who's another of my original characters. And my pink and black set, because they remind me of Bret Hart.
I want to get more of these translucent Chessex colored sets, just so I can have all the different colors of Kryptonite.
In my dice bin that I have for when I was actually gaming regularly, I have 6 sets of Chessex translucents in basically the color wheel.
Send them to me.
They don't occupy a lot of space, so that's a possibility. All
Maybe
right,
the first
so
time I've ever used one of these dice.
so what we're doing is we're each gonna roll a die, and that's gonna be to a corresponding character, and then we are going to have to argue for the character that we rolled on why they would win against the other character. So Derek, I will let you have the first roll and the first argument.
All right.
So Derek is now rolling a d20.
Okay. Oh wow. I got 20.
So Derek has the Wolfman, Larry Talbot, from the Universal Monster Wolfman movies.
Alrighty.
All right, let's see who I get. I have an 18, which means I have John Spartan, the Demolition Man, from Demolition Man. Derek, you get the first argument.
Demolition Man blows things up, but he can't kill the Wolfman. The Wolfman can't die a natural death. The only thing that can kill him is silver. Does John Spartan have silver? I've never seen him use silver in the movie. The Wolfman's a monster. He could just shred John Spartan. Spartan got his guns, he could shoot the Wolfman, but the Wolfman's still going to get back up and come after him. That's basically the gist of my argument.
All right, I would argue that as a member of the San Angeles Police Department, if he needed to requisition silver to fight a Wolfman, John Spartan would be capable of doing so.
The thing is, would John Spartan even be aware of silver as the way to defeat a werewolf?
He's got Lilina Huxley there next to him, who's a pop culture box of trivia. So yes, he would be, because that's part of his quality, is having that sidekick. No, so to further my argument, then yeah, he would have access to silver if he needed it, and he fights bad guys across time with his being frozen and adapting very well to a new environment and a new situation when he woke up there. So.
But the thing is, the Wolfman does the exact same thing. He's been frozen and come back.
Yeah, you're right.
And the whole thing with Huxley is it's the Wolfman. He's probably just gonna grab her and abduct her and run off with her.
I'm just saying she would know to use silver against a Wolfman.
I don't know. I think it's assuming quite a bit, because most of her pop culture references in the Demolition Man film are stuff that she doesn't quite understand or get. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if she would be actually aware of the werewolf monster rules in that. I mean, most of the pop culture stuff that she's aware of are old commercial jingos.
But it seemed like she watched a lot of 80s action movies, so I'm going to assume possibly seeing American Werewolf in London.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think Spartan would keep taking out the Wolfman, but I think the Wolfman's just going to keep coming back.
But what if they he was able to incapacitate the Wolfman, and then they put him in the cryo prison before he could regenerate or come back?
I could see that actually happening. But it's the Wolfman, when something's going to happen, he's just going to be thawed out. And
yeah, but that's possibly decades later, when it's not John Spartan's problem anymore.
Oh, so Larry Talbot's still alive and Spartan's dead. Okay, Talbot wins.
We're not arguing who can kill who. We're arguing who would win the fight.
This is kind of sad, because I can kind of see how this would play out then. Because Spartan would be the hero, and he's going to ultimately defeat the Wolfman. But the Wolfman may be temporarily defeated, he's still going to come back.
All right, so let's take that argument out of the picture right now for any future matchups. We can't just argue, well, this guy's the hero, so he's going to win.
Okay.
We can't make that argument.
No, I will concede that Spartan could incapacitate the Wolfman, but I think the Wolfman, unless he's specifically killed with silver, and we even know from the movies that that's not even permanent.
No, His final permanent death seems to be falling into a lake in Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein. So,
but the thing is, we don't see the body. He probably survived that. His first appearance, the original 1941 film, he gets killed by his father with the silver-handled cane.
Right.
And he survives that because he comes back in the next film. So even Silver doesn't kill Larry Talbot Wolfman.
Yeah,
nothing kills Larry Talbot.
It just slows him down. He pretty much in House of Dracula, he's permanently disposed of, only to show back up in the Abbott and Costello movie.
Yeah. There's no stopping the guy. He gets momentarily inconvenienced. That's basically it. So I think ultimately it's going to be the Wolfman.
All right, now I have a question for you. If we do another one here, and are we going to allow repeat characters in new fights, or are Spartan and the Wolfman completely off the table at this point?
I think we should probably do new matches.
All right,
off the table.
All right, so for the next match, we'll do 5 or 6 of these. We're just riffing here and having fun and trying to generate conversation. For the next match, I will roll first. And I got my red and gold D20 here, and I rolled a 13, which is John Constantine.
Oh, you got my pick. Okay, I'm rolling the only die 20 that I have, and I got 18. Oh, that wasn't Spartan,
I think that was Spartan. It was.
Okay. All right, I'll roll. And I have 6.
Let's see who 6 is. Sorry, I'm writing out the ones that we already rolled so I can ignore them. 6 is Brock Sampson. So you got one of mine and I got one of yours.
I don't even know where to begin with this one. I gotta argue Brock Sampson. Wow.
All right, so
I haven't seen any Venture Brothers since the first half of season 3.
So I will start the argument with John Constantine, master of the mystic arts in the DC universe. Also somehow has the ability to not stay canceled because he just keeps coming back on different shows with the same actor.
Say the same thing for the comic.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And plus, he was written by Alan Moore. My argument should be he would win because he was written by Alan Moore. But what I will say is that he is definitely one of those guys that always has, one more trick up his sleeve, and he survived a lot. He's survived a lot worse than a murderous secret agent in the time that he's been an occultist and a mystic adventurer. He's fought demons and devils and dealt with angels, and I think he can handle just one kill crazy super spy.
All right, my go. I have only one argument. Brock, with his incredible machismo, seduces John. End of fight. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know what to say to that. So
that's it. That's the end of the fight. It's done.
He'd probably kill him after that, but.
Wait. Who would kill who?
Brock kills everything. So.
Oh, he can't kill John Constantine. John Constantine can't be killed. The whole thing, dying of cancer, ends up making deals with several different lead demons in hell.
Right.
So that if he dies, they would end up going to war, and no one wants that. So he's basically untouchable.
Right. But Brock doesn't know that. Why am I arguing your guy and you're arguing my guy?
I don't know.
All right, roll a d20 so we get to the next one here.
It'd be nice if I could actually use these in an RPG. Oh, get a re-roll. I got Brock again. 8.
8 is Aunt May.
Oh, God. Oh, did you do this pick Aunt May just to mess with me?
No, I had a good argument for Aunt May. So, using the yellow and blue die. Okay, so it's Aunt May against Leela from Futurama.
Okay, I have 2 arguments. Who goes first?
You're going first this time.
Okay. Either Aunt May defeats Leela before there's any fight by giving her wheat cakes.
Okay.
Or Aunt May is the golden oldie, and she has the power cosmic. And and when she was golden oldie, her sidekick was Franklin Richards.
Right.
So they were basically gods.
I have a hard time arguing this one. Because all Leela ever wanted was parents, and isn't Aunt May like the ultimate parent?
Basically, yeah, she'd be the ultimate surrogate mother.
However, if you get past that, Leela likes to punch people in the face, and I don't think Aunt May would stand up to a face punching from Leela.
Not unless she was in her golden oldie form.
You are correct. No, the reason I put Aunt May on this is because if Aunt May came up and I was the one arguing for her, I was going to argue that she's immortal because she keeps getting younger.
Oh my God! You just know that if she got defeated in a fight, Peter Parker would just make another deal with Satan. I'm sorry, Mephisto.
It's all the same thing. All right, let me roll another one here. Pink and black die. I got Ellen Ripley, my all-time favorite movie character.
Lucky. All right, I'm rolling the only D20 I own. I got one.
You got Giant Man Hank Pym.
Oh gosh, this is cool.
All right, so I get to start on this one because I rolled first. So Ellen Ripley doesn't give up, for one, and nobody conquers a situation like Ellen Ripley. She puts her mind to it and says this is what needs to be done and figures out a way to do it. We've seen her do it repeatedly in the movies, to the point of even getting cloned and coming back to life, to and being in an entirely different situation and still managing to just say this is what needs to be done and I'm going to take care of it. Plus she's technically fought giant things before with the Alien Queen, so just the giantness alone wouldn't hurt her. She would strap a couple of weapons together and figure out what she needed to do it. And I would argue that despite any power that Hank Pym has, Ellen Ripley is much more the person of action than he is, and possesses much greater fighting ability than he does, despite all of his intelligence and his vast strength as Giant Man.
All right, my turn. Hank Pym has to be single-handedly the most underestimated Avenger ever. This is a guy who is not only a genius with cybernetics, with biology, with physics, with all this stuff. He can turn giant. He can also shrink. He can avoid attacks by shrinking down within a split second. If he was in giant form and Ellen starts shooting at him, he could grow bigger and the bullets would just probably just bounce off him because it probably wouldn't be able to penetrate his skin. He's got the sheer strength when he's giant. He can minimize, shrink down to the subatomic realm and attack her from basically the shadows. I mean, she would never be able to see him coming. Not just that, you talk about Ellen Ripley's fighting ability. Hank Pym is a guy, nerdy scientist, who, whenever he was depowered, single-handedly defeated the entire Masters of Evil. Just beat the crap out of them. Took them all down. He's kind of Ellen Ripley himself. So I think I got to give it to Hank Pym. He's got all kinds of weapons, all kinds of tools, everything like that shrunk and minimized. In the comics, that he created a magic door where he can open portals and jump through and come through and attack her from a different side. He's got like all the scientific advancements. I mean, yeah, she has fought aliens and drones and stuff. What's she gonna do whenever she's being attacked by thousands and thousands of ants and flying ants and other insects and stuff?
Yeah, that's the plot of the movie Aliens.
Not as many as Hank could call up.
She would take off and nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Well, then all he does is just grow to like 100 feet tall and grab the nuke before it hits the ground and throw it away. Hank wins!
All right, go ahead and roll your next one.
I'm not even sure who's winning these matches.
Well, it's up to the listener to decide who made the better argument.
I have 16. Did we already do that one?
I think we did. Yes, we did. That was Leela.
All right. I got 19.
19 is Gozer the Gozerian. And hold on.
I'm waiting.
And I got number 5. I got James Bond. So go ahead.
I already know how this is gonna end. You're gonna use my Brock Sampson argument.
That could happen. That could definitely happen.
If we're doing pure fight, Gozer is a god. A supernatural being that exists from another dimensional plane that has powers beyond imagining. The only way that she was defeated in the Ghostbusters films was them having to basically destroy the cosmic binding of the universes, and we don't even know if she was actually killed.
No, but she was banished from Earth.
Yeah, or at the very least dematerialized from our plane of existence, I guess. But is Bond going to be able to do that? I don't think so.
Wait.
I'm into the.
So are you doubting that Q could build a proton pack? Because all Bond needs to do is to have Q build a couple of proton packs and find someone to go buddy-buddy with him to cross the streams.
Yeah, but it took 4. It took 4.
We don't know it took 4. They used 4.
No, I'm still giving it to the god.
You can't give it to anybody. You're making your argument. It doesn't mean that...
She is beyond. Forget Old Testament God. She is a god from beyond. Before that, she, Sumerian and that. She's the conqueror, the destroyer, the levels universes.
Yeah, true.
I'm giving it to Gozer.
But Bond probably would seduce her, so.
He would.
All right, let's see. We're running out of choices here. Going to my red die, and...
I think we're going to end up doing all of them.
Nope, that one's already been done. I got Hellboy.
Oh, cool. Okay, I'm rolling, and I have 9.
9. You got Gamera.
Oh, wow.
So
honestly, I'm not sure who would win this one.
This is an interesting one because Hellboy spends all his time finding ways to fight and defeat monsters, be it giant monsters or otherwise. And Gamera is somewhat supernatural in that he's kind of got a magical cosmic relationship with the earth and whatnot, and Hellboy would find the right talisman that he needed to weaken that bond and possibly, Gamera is not just a radioactive turtle like Godzilla is a radioactive lizard. He's sort of a legendary being and like I said, a cosmic being, and I think Hellboy would find the right talisman to weaken his power and maybe disconnect him from the earth so that he wasn't as powerful, and then it's just all right-handed doom from that point on.
It's got to be Gamera, because Gamera is essentially the same argument with Gozer. Gamera is practically a god. Is a primal being, a primal force. Gamera was killed and survived, came back from that. The ending of the final film in the 90s trilogy, Gamera is dying in that. It still keeps fighting, and the film ends with Gamera flying off into space to fight against an onslaught, this giant armada of hundreds, if not thousands, of monsters coming to attack. And I just think Gamera just outclasses Hellboy in all size and power, dimension, everything. Hellboy might be able to weaken Gamera, but I don't think Hellboy could survive a fight against Gamera because Hellboy is mortal. I'm not sure that Gamera isn't immortal.
I don't think Hellboy is mortal at all. I think he has every bit of potential to be a greater demon, if not the devil.
Well, Hellboy dies and ends up going to hell in the comic books.
Yeah, but he gets better. All right, you want to roll for another one?
All right.
This might be the last one because we're gonna get to the point where we're just gonna be hitting the repeats over and over again.
Yeah, I just hit a repeat. 11, did we already do that?
11, we did not do. That is Doc Savage.
Cool.
And I got... Ooh! This is the first time this has happened. We have the two mystery men against each other. Doc Savage against the Shadow. So, go ahead with Doc Savage.
Yeah, the Doc Savage has an answer for every one of the Shadow's tricks. Doc Savage is the most brilliant mind on the planet, and the Shadow defeats people by manipulating their fear and emotions, and Doc is a man without fear. And who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men, the Shadow? I don't think Doc Savage is capable of evil thoughts. Plus, he's physically the most perfect physical specimen on the planet. The peak of human physical perfection, mental reflexes, morality. He's a genius inventor, all kinds of weapons and tricks, and plus he's got his own support staff. I honestly, it's Doc Savage.
So it's not a matter of fear. It's the Shadow can manipulate you and make you see things that you don't see, and make you believe things that you don't otherwise believe. And he has the power to cloud men's minds. And just because he's a brilliant mind, it gives him an advantage for sure, but it does not mean that his mind cannot be clouded.
But the thing is, it's not just that he's a brilliant mind, it's that he's the peak of human mental ability as well, of the perfect will. I think he would be able to see through any machinations or illusions.
We've never seen in any of the Shadow stories, we've never seen anyone overcome and be able to see through the illusion. So,
but Doc Savage is... The guys that the Shadow uses that against are guys who are not as mentally prepared or as advanced as Doc Savage.
I think
Doc Savage is a Superman.
I think this one would be really close. However, I do think that if it came down to physicality, the Shadow would be at a disadvantage.
So is that it?
So we've been recording. We got time for another one. We've barely been recording 2 hours, so we got time for another one.
It's gonna edit a lot less than that. But yeah, okay, all right. Okay, I went first this time. That was you.
So last one here. There's a high probability that I hit Lois Lane. That's I need to reroll that one.
I have no idea how many matchups we did.
I need to reroll that one. This is what's gonna happen now. I need to reroll that one. Need to reroll that one. Switching dice. Need to reroll that one. Hey, I hit one. Jet Jaguar, the kaiju monster from Godzilla vs. Megalon, is the giant robot that looks like Antonio Inoki.
I hope you're tracking who we picked so that if we do this again, we don't use the same characters.
I was assuming if we do this again, we'll do a new draft and blank the board, but yes, okay. I am tracking who we picked. So
I have 17.
Wow, you got it on the first roll. Indiana Jones. Okay, so Jet Jaguar is a super advanced robot built by Earth scientists who not only fights like Antonio Inoki, but looks like Antonio Inoki. And let's face it, Antonio Inoki is almost a god in himself. And this robot that was built to help man and to serve man, when mankind was in danger from these two giant monsters, somehow managed to overcome his own programming and develop free will and figure out how to manipulate reality itself and make himself grow to giant monster size so that he was capable of fighting the monsters. All that just from being programmed well with the intent of protect the world. At the point that he reaches giant size, he then is a giant robot that fights like Antonio Inoki, and was a heck of a tag team partner for Godzilla in that fight. Master of arm breakers, master of rolling kicks, submission specialist, and let's face it, a giant robot. So that's all I have to say about that. No, I'll say one more thing. He has got a really snazzy theme song in the movie.
All right. Indiana Jones is a relentless man of action who is quite possibly the luckiest person in movie history. He defies the odds all the time. And we're talking about a human who survived the wrath of God by closing his eyes. He survived a nuclear bomb, or I should say atomic bomb, I think. I think if anyone's going to survive an attack by Jet Jaguar, it's going to be Indiana Jones. Because the thing is, Indy's also incredibly good at thinking on his feet, and he's always clever in that. I think he'd find a way to take him down. I don't believe this one.
Oh, it's funny.
I think he would survive. I think he would definitely survive, but yeah, I think this is going to be one of the ones where it basically ends with Indy running off and just watching with amazement as Jet Jaguar flies off somewhere. Like the interdimensional aliens.
So left on the board was one superhero, Mr. Incredible, both supervillains, Doctor Doom and the Taskmaster, and one supporting cast member, Lois Lane. Everybody else got used. I honestly don't know if this was entertaining or not. Let us know. I had fun doing it, but it didn't seem very meaty, I guess. So we'll see if we do this again in the future. I always like doing the character debates, and we've had people write in and ask them before. So we were just sort of trying to come up with something along those lines.
Oh yeah, but that was the whole reason why I broached the topic and kind of came up with the idea, or at least the initial idea. You're the one who really kind of gave it form.
Well, I felt like we needed some sort of mechanic to go with it.
Oh
instead of just sitting here talking. So
I get that. It's just that I really missed the conversations where we had the questions when we started the podcast last summer, where we would be asked who would win fights, and I really missed that. That was why I wanted to do something like this.
Sounded me bagging up my dice there.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Maybe we could find another angle or way to do something like this in the future. I don't know. Hopefully, people will. Our listeners will give us some feedback. Let us know what they think about this. Was this successful? Was this interesting? Was this dull? I have no idea. Was this a waste of 2 hours? Who knows?
Yeah, let us know. We wanted to give you a show this week. We didn't want to miss out. We already felt bad about not recording last week. So yeah, let us know at DerekandMattLoveComics@gmail.com or on Facebook.com/DerekandMatt. Or on Twitter at Derek and Matt, on Instagram at Derek and Matt, or on YouTube on the Derek and Matt Love Comics channel. Remember, you can find this show on iTunes, Podbeam, Stitcher, Google Play, and TuneIn. Please give us a rating or a subscription on iTunes. It really helps the show. And for any more information about the Walking Dead Galactic Regs cover, the Galactic Regs t-shirts, or anything else related to Galactic Regs, go to Facebook.com/GalacticGregs or GalacticGregs.com. Derek, what are we doing next week?
Next week we are going to be reading and reviewing Invincible Volume 4, Head of the Class. This is actually a little bit interesting because this is going to be the first episode of Invincible Review where I am going to be the host.
Yeah, and I think we can stop saying at this point, are we to the good part yet? Because we hit the good part, and now we're just full on flying into this. So.
We are on the gravy train with biscuit wheels.
Yes, and now I'm hungry.
I am too.
So, music for this episode is the Hero Theme and Adventure Meme by Kevin MacLeod, Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Derek, any last words?
Let them fight.
I can't top that, so I'll just say see you next week, folks.